What fact is common knowledge in your field, but almost unknown to the rest of the population? Story 1. An elevator will go up to the top of the hoist instead of crash to the floor in most catastrophic failures due to the counterweights. Reply. And if it breaks, they don't come get you through a hatch in the roof like in the movies. They just go to the machine room, hand hoist it to the next door, open with a special key and get you out. There's also controls on the outside of the lift at the top, so when working on it you can ride it up or down while sitting on top. Had to do it a few times, scary at first but after a while super fun. Edit. So it seems US elevators have hatches. UK, where I am, do not have hatches in our lifts. Reply 2. That hatch in the ceiling is for kidnappings, assassinations or high-end diamond heists. Story 2. Powerful explosives are so insensitive to shock that it usually takes a smaller, more sensitive explosive to set them off. Reply. C4 will just burn if put into a fire. Soldiers used it to cook food in Vietnam. Reply 2. Pure C4 also gets you high if you eat it. They started adding a compound into it that makes you violently sick to stop people from doing that. Reply 3. You have to admire the human compulsion to get wrecked. Story 3. Your calf muscles act as a pump for your lymph fluid, which is basically the garbage pickup and immunity DoorDash of your body. Without flexing your calf, the fluid has no way of moving against gravity. Each time we walk, the muscles contract, squeezing the fluid back up towards the core for processing. That's why sitting for long periods causes swelling in the legs. LPT, sitting for long periods? Move your ankles up and down to pump the calf ETA. Holy shit, this blew up. I'm overwhelmed by all the responses, thank you for the awards. A few things to add. Source. I am a lymphedema specialist. Veins of the lower leg also heavily rely on the calf muscle pump, so blood pools along with lymph from prolonged immobility. Elevating your legs is helpful, using gravity to help move fluid. Also, using compression socks to help push the fluid back up, especially if you stand still for long periods. Our lymph nodes are located at joint spaces, such as knees, hips, armpits, etc., so that movement compresses them and moves the fluid throughout the body. Movement is key. The thoracic duct in your upper abdomen processes about 70% of lymph. Deep breathing compresses the duct via the diaphragm and helps to move lymph. People who lack mobility, think paraplegics or people bedbound from illness, are prone to lower leg swelling, and often have complications such as blood clots, DVTs, skin breakdown, wounds, etc. because all the garbage is just sitting in one spot. Manually moving the legs helps, or using specifically designed pumps. TLDR. Pump your calves, take deep breaths, and move your joints to improve everything. Law. Reply. Pump up the calves, pump it up, pump it up. Story 4. The world runs on MS Excel. Reply. How many times did numbers turning into dates cause a company-wide meltdown for you this year? Reply 2. They had to rename the fucking human genome because Excel kept turning it into dates and it messed up actual published research. One study found 700 published papers they suspected of being messed up due to Microsoft Excel interpreting genes incorrectly. Story 5. There is no fractured versus broken. There are only different types of fractures. It's really a semantic problem, but patients get heated about it. Reply. When people ask if I've broken a bone before, I tell them that I fractured my wrist. The response usually is, that doesn't count. Story 6. Generally speaking, if you add the percentage of the body covered in third-degree burns and the person's age together, you get the likelihood of it being a fatal burn. 32 and 40% burn coverage? About 70% of people in that condition will die. Source. Fiery, working closely with several doctors from burns units. Reply. 100 years old and 0% burn? Sorry pal, that burn is fatal. Reply 2. 99 and you touched the stove? Instantly dead. Story 7. Cement and concrete are not the same thing. Cement is the main ingredient in concrete, but concrete is the whole mixture of cement, sand, aggregate, water, etc. Reply. I feel like I relearn this every year. One of these times it will stick. Reply 2. Not your fault. Concrete is hard. Story 8. When a person flatlines, you cannot shock them out of it. Reply. Paramedic here. Flatline is just a regular person term for asystole. Asystole means that the heart is not beating at all. You don't shock asystole. Shocking someone only happens when someone's heart is quivering erratically or beating so fast that it's not effective. This is called either ventricular fibrillation or ventricular tachycardia. The goal of shocking someone when their heart is in one of these two conditions is to either restart the heart into its regular rhythm or to knock it into asystole. When they are in asystole, the goal is to keep oxygenated blood moving to the body via CPR and to try to get the heart to start beating on its own again. The heart is a muscle, but it has its own internal, intrinsic ability to beat without any input from the brain, automatically. The goal is to get that to happen again. That happens through high-quality CPR and oxygen as well as drugs. TLDR, medical TV shows suck. You don't shock, flatline. You actually shock what shows up as squiggly lines, sort of medically speaking. Public service. CPR early, hard and fast is the best thing you can do for someone who is in cardiac arrest. As well as getting an AED to make sure they are not in any of the squiggly lines. Fun fact. Even at the hospital, the best thing they can do for you is give you adequate oxygen and do really good CPR, scientifically proven. Story 9. Those high-end, or expensive, neighborhoods they slap up really fast. Usually, gated communities and other semi-exclusive suburbs full of McMansions are built with the absolute cheapest materials and poorest quality, untrained labor. Never buy a spec home without some serious research into what you're actually buying. All that luxury is barely surface deep. Reply. Daughter of an Australian builder here. Quality long-lasting building materials, think double brick, hardwood roof beams etc., are expensive to produce and in very short supply, utilize a lot of natural resources. So instead they cut corners and use cheaper materials for the bones of the house. Many houses built these days won't last 20 years without major structural issues. Ironic because many builders are still charging premium prices for these heaps of shit. Story 10. People make most decisions based on emotion, then rummage around for logic to back up what they've already decided. Story 11. People, users, are the weakest link in most technology systems. 99% of the time. Reply. Truth. I fix checkpoint security equipment and explosive detection systems for a living. Fixing the machine that they broke is the job, but showing them what they did to it, why it happened, and what to do in the future, is what makes it possible for me to maintain great uptime on as many systems as I do. Story 12. The sensors in digital cameras, including phones, are monochromatic. They don't see color and have a tiny color filter on each sensor element so it can detect one of three colors: red, green, blue. Then the image is created by calculating what the other two colors might be based on one color value and the values of the nearest sensors around it. TLDR, 2/3 of the color in a digital photo is calculated from the 1/3 that is actual data. Story 13. A hysterectomy is removal of the uterus only, not the ovaries. Story 14. Police can lie to you, including about whether or not they're police. Reply. I was stopped in New York, not in the city but in Suffolk County, and a guy approached me and said, "Hey dude, I'm sorry to bother you but I'm up here on vacation but I don't know anyone. I'm a pot addict and I'm strung out. Can you help me out? I need some pot bro, please help me, I'm sweating, worst cop ever." Story 15. In archaeology, it's super awesome and great that you brought stuff to an archaeologist at a local dig site near you of things you found in your backyard or nearby asking us appraise it, But the thing is, we're actually more interested in the context the items are found. We want to see the bigger picture. Arrowheads, flint knaps, trade beads, etc. are super cool, but they are worth so much more when we can tell if they are part of a hoard, burial site, ceremonial site, etc. Reply. If you haven't, check out the book Kindred. While it is about Neanderthal, it goes into how valuable all the layers of dust around the objects of interest are and how much info they get from it. Blew my mind how archaeology has advanced. Story 16. If you have sad vegetables, carrots, celery, or lettuce that look wilted, not bad, you can make them crunchy by shocking in ice water. Reply. What kind of voltage are we talking? Story 17. In any given nature documentary, the protagonist animal you're rooting for is played by several different actors, i.e. that one brown bear's story is patched together from footage of a bunch of different bears. And in about 90% of the animal reacting shots, they're reacting to the camera crew. Nature documentaries are heavily constructed. Reply. I refuse to believe that one iguana running from all those snakes was multiple iguanas. Little man, woman, ran its little heart out and earned its place in this world. Reply 2. It's funny how almost everyone knows exactly which iguana you're talking about. Story 18. When I worked as a barista, how much fucking syrup is in flavored drinks? At the cafe I worked at, we measured flavoring by grams. If you got a large mocha, that motherfucker would have like 110 grams of chocolate sauce in it. If you want a little bit of flavor, I suggest only 1 pump. 2 max. Reply. This is why I never go to Starbucks. Shit has so much sugar in it, it's like drinking a cake. Story 19. People almost always try to exit through the same door they entered. In a crowded venue, always take a second to find your exit and then find a second exit. Mark them in your brain just in case. In an emergency, most of the crowd is going to go for the main door they came in through. Knowing where another exit is can save your life. Story 20. Lab-grown diamonds cost $2 per quart of electricity to grow. The value price has absolutely plummeted on them the last 2 years, most especially the last 8 months. Don't overpay on them as they all perform. One CTS currently 6 to 800. So for the first time in the history of the jewelry world, you can officially buy moissanites from high-end brands that are more expensive than their lab-grown diamonds of same quality. The amount of people robbed of value the last 2 years is in the millions, and dollar amount unfathomable. Had a guy as recent as March spend $24,000 on a 3-quart lab-grown online when I was finding them for $5,500 at the time. Places are rushing to make money back from buying in bulk. There will be a documentary about this someday. Story 21. In movies, they unnecessarily yank on horses' reins, practically ripping their mouths out. Anytime you see their mouths open with the bit pulled way back in there, they're not having fun, and it's for no reason other than maybe drama, and the trainers are shitty for letting that happen. Story 22. Trucker here, and we don't want to be anywhere near you either. Go around or stay back, don't just ride right beside us. We can't see you very well when you are beside us, and if shit happens you're gonna go splat. It is very rare that any driver wants to slow you down. It's not like we get our rocks off on making you late. We work extremely long hours on very little sleep, and we just want to get where we are going without getting in an accident and killing someone. Trust me, if we could go faster, we damn sure would. Also, if you give us the fist pump to honk our horn, you just made our whole week. That's one of the greatest joys in a trucker's life. Be safe out there. Hey, stop. You're cool. Subscribe for more. Yo.